have a brand new hairstyle. It is French progressive. And today we're talking about one issue, at least for this show. It's called Postal Service. That's the name of this show, Postal Service. It's one of those things. It's really it's a weird thing. There's 330 million people in this country, and incredibly, that's one of the very few things that every single person in this country has: postal service. Every single person. I can't think of any that doesn't. Um, you get something in the mail. You get garbage mail and advertisements and just junk mail. Whatever it is, it's something to do with taxes, or somebody wants you to send money or whatever. Everybody has the mail. Everybody gets mail, whether you live in the city or you live in the middle of Nevada in the desert somewhere under a rock. Somebody's delivering you the mail. And the mail, believe it or not, is in the Constitution. It's the responsibility of Congress. It is in Article 2, Section 8. And believe it or not, after 250 years of having a country, the United States has the greatest infrastructure of mail service in the world has ever known, including Rome. And I guess for corporate reasons and profit, the Republican Party at first, back in the 80s, got the idea that if they privatized the mail, you could make billions and more. And so, slowly but surely, they started to attack the Postal Service in one way or another. And about 15 years ago or so now, the Republican Party pushed through a bill that required the Postal Service to fund their pension system for 75 years into the future. So, of course, no other institution on planet Earth or on any other planet that I know of is required to do that, because it would defund them. But, of course, the Republicans wanted to weaken the Postal Service, and so that's what we have, is a Postal Service that is required by law to service its pensions into the future by almost a century. And so you have this fantastic infrastructure of thousands of postal buildings and distribution centers serving a public of 340 million people, and corporations and small businesses and every other entity, government entities, emergency entities. We have the best system in the world by far. And the Republican Party, with the Democratic Party's help, by the way, are trying to destroy that infrastructure and completely privatize it. Now, under the present scenario, the Democrats are supposedly the good guys and want to save the union, the postal union. I'm a union guy. And, the Democrat, and I'm a Democrat, as I've told people over and over again. But I don't see the Democrats coming to the rescue. And I don't see, and I do see, of course, the Republican Party shoving the post office and the entire fantastic, incredible infrastructure of the post office and all of its workers and everything else about the Postal Service and shoving it right off the cliff. The Democrats aren't going to do much to stop that, unfortunately. Um, we will eventually have a privatized mail service. It is, I believe, in my opinion, it's a felony. It's a felony to actually interfere with the postal service. If you put your hand in your neighbor's mailbox, took out a letter and destroyed it, or you kept it, I believe, maybe I'm wrong, but it's a felony, and in any case, it's a crime. Now, what the uh, what the Republican Party is doing right now, and should I really say the Trump administration, with the help of the Republican Party and Democratic Party to a very great extent, is a crime. They are disrupting the mail. Not one letter, but millions upon millions of letters, and they're disrupting pharmaceuticals that need to reach people. They're actually killing people. Now, I just watched nearly the entire hearing of yesterday, where the Senate listened to the appointed leader of the Postal Service, and I got to tell you, it was, in my opinion, watching a criminal trying to defend himself. And when some Democrats actually asked, where's the research? On what research did you base taking out 60 to 70 of those gigantic machines that handle millions of pieces of mail every day? And he actually said, there is no research. I just did it. There's no research. I can't promise you I could show you any research. I did it because I did it, because that's what I was told to do. That's how it came across to me. I know. But that's how it came across to this citizen. And as I say many times over, it's not Republican or Democrat. If you're a Republican and you're getting your pharmaceutical and your medicine through the mail, and you just ran out and you're expecting the medicine to come the next day, and it doesn't come for a week and a half, you're dead. Are you a Republican first, or do you want that postal service to actually stay as good as it has been and not be interrupted by this lunatic and the lunatic in the White House, because he may want to win an election? What's important to you? Your life, or some idiot that doesn't care who you are, what your name is, and what you're doing? You don't care. You care about your own life, or at least you should. And every single senator indicated that the uptick in people calling their offices during the month of July of this year, which coincided with the appointment by Trump to the Postal Service of this, in my mind, criminal. I'm not even going to say his name, because I think he is a criminal. And as soon as he was appointed, within days, the service of the Postal Service went down, and people's mail had been held up, and phone calls to every single senator's office in this country went up, not by tens and not by hundreds, but by thousands. So there we are. It's just another instance that the American public is being screwed over with their own services, being denied services that they've paid for, that actually the services being provided are actually the best in the world. Our postal service provides service to people in Hawaii, Alaska, the middle of the deserts in Arizona and New Mexico, and the wheat field in North Dakota, and in the woods of Maine. They go everywhere, and it is efficient. They're human. Mistakes are made, and mistakes are going to be made. If this actually turns into a private company, guess what? What has been practically free, 50 cents for a postage stamp. It's basically almost free. It doesn't really affect anybody, anybody's budget, almost. And has been unbelievably efficient in that the infrastructure of the Postal Service reaches every single person in this country. It's going to become private. It's going to be run by profit instead of through the customer. The customer is not going to be important. It's going to be run by profit. So guess what? Those people who are, first of all, in Alaska or in the middle of the ocean in Hawaii or up in the woods in Maine or in the middle of deserts and wheat fields, they're going to, and West Virginia and in the mountains in the east, they're going to be the people that are going to feel it first and second and third and fourth. The for-profit companies aren't going to send it to you unless you pay through the nose. So all of a sudden, you getting mail is going to be unbelievably expensive. So that's where we're heading. That's something as basic as the Postal Service in the Constitution. It is not supposed to be private. It's not intended to be private. It's intended to be a public institution. If it is run by private companies, the private companies will screw you big time. And there's going to be no regulation. They're private companies. They'll take your mail and shove it right into the garbage somewhere if you don't pay for it, or if you live too far. If you're not on the main track, you're going to pay double, triple, quadruple. So those are the laws of economics. So that's all I really have to say about the postal system. We're going to lose the best postal system on the planet. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of our friends, our families, citizens of this country who work for the Postal Service are going to lose their jobs, their pensions, their homes, etc. Because the citizens of this country are not diligent enough and angry enough and just simply are not able to keep focused enough on this issue or any other issue. Not only this issue of the Postal Service, which is one of the 2 or 3 most important things for a democracy to have, a communication system second to none. And if we're not able to focus on that, we're not able to focus on anything. So we're going to have most likely a very bad outcome. The Republicans on the Senate, they couldn't care less. None of them cared. They couldn't care less if all the postal workers lost their jobs, and they couldn't care less if the Postal Service went private today. Guess what? They would get kickbacks, and they would get money in their pockets. It would make them money and make them even more rich, and so they don't care. And The Democrats, even the few who made a stink about it, made a couple of good points about it. To tell you the truth, again, I can only compare to what I would be doing and what I would be saying. And it just simply doesn't wash. I think they're putting a good show on. I don't think they really give a crap. Sad to say. Again, I was an elected official on a local basis for over a decade. Very informed. I've been a banker for 40 years, as I've said over and over. I've dealt with money my entire life and somebody else's money my entire life. And the way the people on the Senate are acting, the questions, and what comes out of them concerning what seems to be, anger, it to me is all a wash. I think in the end, the American people are going to get screwed. And I think as soon as the election is over, depending on how rigged the election is, uh, I think if the Trump administration survives, within a week of the election results, if Trump wins, you will see hundreds of postal buildings being closed. And you will have to, if you have to go to the if you have to go to the post office, you're going to have to go not to your own town. But if you go to your own town, the lines will be out the door and around the block because other people's, their towns and their cities, their postal services will be closed. So it's going to it'll be chaos. If the Democrats win, I think it may not happen as quickly. I think eventually, if again, we don't fundamentally change our government back to a progressive New Deal for the 21st century, I think we're in trouble either way. So that's all I got to say about that subject. Thank you. See you next time.